been experimenting putting strings from different instruments onto various guitars. And further browsing the collection, I knew the bass/guitar hybrid presented quite some potential with its unique 3 courses. Looking for something kind of like a mandolin, but lower tuned maybe to fit the scale, I actually came across a hollow body instrument called the Greek Bouzouki, with a 3-course tuning that almost perfectly fits. Its present form arrived in the early 1900s, with origins from an instrument called the saz, coming from the Turkish word bouzuk, meaning broken or modified, which might actually be pretty fitting for this channel. It's used a lot in rebetiko music, which developed from the 1960s out of various urban Greek sounds. There's 4-course versions of the bouzouki out there as well, tuned a whole step lower than the 4 strings of a guitar for better accompaniment. But the tuning I'm using here is called European tuning, grabbing a set from the big brand Diodario. Hopefully everything goes smoothly, translating to both guitar and bass hardware here, or skip straight to this timestamp for the demo of whatever kind of sounds we're able to come up with. This is Kevin from Said Too Much. The packaging was standard to my experience with Diodario guitar strings, uncoiling them from one bag. We've got loop ends again, like we've seen in several other acoustic sets, with my first instinct to secure them to the top-loading portion of these individual bass bridge pieces being to just steal some bass ball ends to add, like they were meant to be there. It's always a little awkward trying to wrap the thin strings around a bass machine head sitting loosely in the straight-down hole, having done this for a piccolo bass tuning before, but it still works. For the string-through courses on the saddles, I was able to get away with the XS hex wrench trick again for the sake of simplicity. The strings stretched a good size to fit the 25.5-inch scale length of the Stratocaster, with the Bouzouki being just under an inch longer in that respect. But during a little bit of the chaos, I almost mixed the strings up, tearing off their colored tape markers in 3 sets of 2 without keeping them organized. Thankfully, we're really only dealing with 3 different gauges, so it wasn't hard to find the odd man out middle string to finish our setup. The Bouzouki is played with a plectrum similar to modern guitar picks, so I think we're really ready to go here. But I did only tune it up a whole step shy of its normal tuning. Call it paranoia, but when I'm tuning really thin strings, I always get scared it'll pop before I get it on camera. So what do y'all think? Are the strings really that different from our guitars? Are unison strings redundant? Honestly, this is one of my first experiences with unison strings, and although I may have answered yes to that last question on paper, I now definitely know that's totally wrong. You see it in a lot of instruments, and the people contributing to their creation aren't dumb here, without going off on a tangent. I hope we all have heard for ourselves by now. In fact, there are several instruments that use the Bouzouki's 3-core setup, like the Turkish baglama, and I've even seen that root 5th octave tuning on something like the Japanese shamisen, which are maybe instruments we should check out too. Pleading ignorance from just my brief research here, Greek music is way more rich and detailed. If any of you better suited to talk about it want to destroy me in the comments. If you're only really familiar with guitar like I am, I still think these string stealing videos are pretty fascinating from an outsider's perspective, giving all the credit to the culture and people that developed it, of course. It's becoming increasingly enlightening, not just how different, but how actually similar these instruments can connect to each other. For now though, enough said. For early video access, raw instrument tracks, and more exclusives, find our community on Patreon and consider adding your support.
Said too much.